Hi y'all, welcome back to Healing and Dealing. This is episode 10.
A novel approach.
A novel approach.
Yeah, in our first 9 episodes, we did audio only. We did them on Spotify, but we soon realized the limitations. We can't show you guys any pictures, right? We wanted to show you pictures. And so we're taking our own advice. We're trying things in a new way. We're going to show you some of the books that we use and some of the pages that we've been referencing and what we're going to continue to use throughout this series. Who are we? What are we doing? What's our goal here?
We are healing our brains in a brain-injured world.
Mm-hmm. And like the Bible says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So we're going to renew our minds. We finished our audio series with neuroplasty. So it just didn't come up until episode 9. And now that we know about it, it just kind of excites like everything that we've already learned, don't you think?
Yeah.
Because we've gone through some recommended ways, non-pharmacological ways of healing, and they're super simple, right? It's confusing what's on the inside, and science has made a big point of separating even further the mind from the spirit, from the personality, from everything. But this is it, right? There's the brain. That's it. That's the brain. We were able to show you guys. The brain has 3 subdivisions. The brain stem, which is an enlarged knobby extension of the spinal cord. It includes the medulla, pons, and midbrain. The cerebellum, the little brain, a bulbous mass of tissue which, in man, lies at the back of the head. The cerebrum and its subdivisions, including the cerebral cortex, the thalamus, hypothalamus, and associated structures. The cerebrum is divided into 2 hemispheres by a clearly visible deep furrow running from front to back. In man, the cerebral hemispheres and the cortex overlie the brainstem and the cerebellum. It's very technical. It's very technical. Well, so what does the brain do, Justin? What is it responsible for?
It's responsible for, basically every function your body can do.
Yeah, right? And all the automatic stuff that just happens. I think it said in here. Did we save this page? The limbic system, that affects your mood, your memory, and your appetite. And that's just one little bitty part of the brain. Just one little bitty part. What does a healthy brain look like? What would you say? What does a healthy brain look like?
Probably someone who's been just put in, basically a quarantine their whole life, and somehow they got lucky and they're not even in this reality, because in this reality you probably wouldn't find that.
Well, yeah, right. Now, Dr. Daniel Amen, we don't have any of his books, but he's a New York Times best-selling author, does a PBS special, and he says that you can heal. Your brain can heal. Yes, it can. But an unhealthy brain, that's mental illness, essentially. However, Dr. Amen, he doesn't like that term. He says it's inaccurate and harmful. The stigma and shame can stop people from getting the help they need. It's a very personal problem, and it's a very profound problem, because you know that it doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody around you. Far-reaching consequences. And judging mental illness is subjective, right? I mean, who's to say what you're suffering from? That in itself is subjective. So even those who are not diagnosed need to have healthy brains. We need to think clearly. We need to
not be judgmental and diagnosing people ourselves.
For sure. Everyone benefits when we heal, just like everyone suffers when we don't. What's this?
One in 5 Americans have mental illness, according to NIMH.
The National Institute of Mental Health. Like The Secret of NIMH. Do you remember that movie?
No.
With the little mice? Maybe we'll watch it later. Yeah, diagnosis is unreliable and judgmental. And also, you brought up a good point the other day that the madness of the world could cause more injury to an already fragile mind.
Yes.
You know? And what are some of the ways that the world attacks us? These are what we sort of brainwashed the other brainwashing. This is what we brainstormed the other day. Speaking of brainwashing, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, subliminal advertising, frequency manipulation, hypnosis, just day-to-day unreasonable rules, conflicting demands, pathological relationships, bad diets. Here, let's see.
Yeah, bad frequencies, bad people.
Drugs, alcohol, poisoning, overdoses of any kind, any combination. Peer pressure, just doing stupid stuff because other people tell you to. Propaganda, injuries, and the list goes on. The list goes on. There's so much out there to be wary of. And kind of once we get a taste for some of this bad stuff, our body craves more of it. Right? I mean, look at your appetite. Look at your limbic system. When you start eating candies, you just want more.
Yes.
You just want more. You can train it the other way too, though, to want more good. But that takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right. That's the limbic structure of the brain. That was this right in here. Let's see if I can find it again. So this is the limbic system. This is so much fun. I can show pictures. Yay. Men may be said to have not one brain, but three, which work together in reasonable harmony, but differ from each other in structure, biochemistry, and function. Each of these brains marks a separate step on the evolutionary ladder. Well, thank you, 1975 Time Atlas of the Body, but we have our own thoughts about that. The limbic system was the second of these structures to develop, an addition in primitive mammals to the brain inherited from their reptile forebears. This reptilian brain forms in man the upper brainstem, much of the reticular formation, the midbrain, and the basal ganglia, and includes the hypothalamus. Its task is largely the regulation of stereotyped or instinctive behavior and vital biological functions and rhythms. Anatomically, the limbic system, or old mammalian brain, surrounds these earlier structures and is intimately connected to them. In modern mammals, it is in its turn surrounded by a later acquisition, the neocortex, or the new mammalian brain, the source of reasoning and in man of language. The higher up the evolutionary scale a mammal is, the larger its neocortex in relation to its limbic system. Okay, obviously there's a lot of information here, but we can see, right? The limbic system is in charge of the regulation of instinctive behavior, vital biological functions, and rhythms. And yet it's also in charge of mood, memory, and appetite. So this must be where our traumas are held.
Yes.
This must be it, because when you're exposed to advertising, what are they selling you? What are you being sold? You're being sold an experience, you know? What does Travelocity sell you? They sell you an experience, a travel experience. When a restaurant is being sold to you, you're being sold a dining experience. You know, it's all about the experience.
Yes.
It's all about these. So I mean, even somebody who's selling information, it's about the experience, what you're going to learn, what you're going to experience when you accomplish playing piano or learning to dance or foreign language. So all of it is definitely directed to the neocortex and the limbic structure of the brain. So we know that all of this is coming at us without any kind of stop, right? Like a flood. So how can you be more active, more accountable in your own healing? What can you do? What can we do?
Always write more, eat a cleaner diet.
Dr. Amen had some tips for a healthy brain. Can you read those? They're right here.
Exercise, improve your brain function.
Your blood flow.
And blood flow. Keep a positive mindset.
Check your gut microbiome.
Yeah, check your gut microbiome.
Now, this is Dr. Amen who suggests this, and he's got clinics set up in a lot of places. And they do tests to see everything about your brain, everything about your diet. That's that could be affecting it. So he gets really into it. But there are things that you can do at home also. You can just explore it, see what you can do. See what you can do now. He's written plenty of books that can help figure it out if you can't get to his clinics like we haven't yet. Would like to, right? It'd be kind of fun, don't you think?
Yeah.
There's a couple of other statements there.
Dr. Kroger suggests adding
Iodine
herbs.
Yeah, iodine herbs are very good for the brain, she says. That's algae, dulce, sea moss, kelp, mustard, nettle, parsley, and sea wack. If you, diet plays a big part, right? If you have impurities within your gut, you're going to have impurities without. Just like the mouth is that's how it is. That's how it is. Right? Right?
Yes.
Okay, we won't go there because we didn't write anything down for this. Like physical ailments, mental disorders can worsen if they're not treated properly. And in the most severe sense, what could happen?
You could believe things that aren't true or true, hallucinations or delusions.
Mm-hmm. And the most serious is suicidal thoughts. And if you have that at all, you should call a doctor, a priest, or 911. We are not medical advice, right, Justin?
Right.
We're not medical advice. If you're taking medical advice from us, you do have a problem. Sorry. But we're learning as we go. We encourage you to learn as you go and let us know what you're learning. Right? We're just healing and dealing ourselves. That's all. So what are some other warning signs of mental disorders?
Depression.
Mm-hmm.
Mood changes. Prolonged anger. Avoidance. Difficulties.
Let me see this list. We've got on here worry, fear, sadness, confusion, extreme mood changes, prolonged anger, avoidance, difficulty relating to others, changes in habit, like your style and your sleep and your diet, substance abuse, physical ailments, and a lack of insight. So it's basically life. When life comes at you, you're gonna have some mental issues, and it's common. 1 in 5. It goes, and it's babies too, children, starting at 10 years old. These same numbers, they show up in juvenile detention facilities and everywhere. This is our reality. So life happens. And, if your injury is severe like Justin's, then you may be treated with medication. Although there's also some non-pharmacological ways of healing. what we have to look at first is your medication, because if you have been given medication, you need to know what you're doing with it, right?
Yes.
So do you know what you're doing with your medication?
Most certainly not.
Certainly not. Hopefully your doctor knows, but it's important for us to know what they're giving us, what the goal of this medication is. Are you looking at a scenario where you're going to have to take this forever? Or are you looking at a scenario where if this happens, then this is going to change? And if you have multiple doctors, like Justin does, then you want to make sure that these medications are not redundant, that they are not counteracting each other, and that you know the proper times to take them, how much fluid you need to take with them, what you can and can't eat at the same time. There's a lot that goes on with it. There's a lot that goes on with medication, and ultimately, even though you're brain injured, you're still in charge of your medical team. So you're the coach. Put yourself in, coach, because you're playing. I have to sneeze.
Achoo.
Achoo. And you're also in charge of your non-pharmacological methods of healing. What are some of those? That's everything that falls under neuroplasticity. The capacity of your brain to change.
Yeah, to change.
Yeah, and everything. It's not only the capacity, but it's also the steps that you undertake to activate it. So we've got Dr. Amen's suggestions. We've got Hannah Kroger's suggestions.
Yes.
What else? What else can we do to stimulate and maintain the neuroplasticity in our brains?
I would say definitely write as much as you can, and especially as opposed to when it's as little as you can.
Well, a creative outlet of some sort. Some people like to paint or express themselves in other ways. Because that's okay if you can't write. There are other ways of expressing yourself creatively. But if you are able to write, keeping a journal is incredibly healing. Not only helps with your hand-eye coordination, but working through your thoughts, expressing yourself creatively. There's lots of benefits to it, right, Justin?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Positive social interaction. So maybe getting rid of things that don't inspire you, that aren't clean, that aren't lovely. Like, don't look at porn, for sure.
Yes.
That's incredibly damaging. Meditation. Also, probably also fasting, right? Just holding. When we hold things empty, they kind of clean out for us, don't they?
Yes.
But also, you want things like task repetition and task-specific practice, because that can help rebuild the consistency.
Yeah, you need that consistency.
Yes, that trauma took away from you. Or, on the other hand, you might need to try a different approach to build some new neurons. Our brains are incredibly flexible, and they can do anything. They can do anything, right? And
right.
Dr. Amen says they can heal, even heal. And that's what we're hoping for. That's why we're healing and dealing, right?
Yep.
So thank you guys for joining us on our first video. We're gonna try and do these once a week, just like we did for radio. And all right, we'll catch you here next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye.